Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Bringing you the latest from here at home and across the world, this is Primetime News live on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo. Good
evening, I'm Shah Indirampati. Well, before we proceed further into the news bulletin, we will be crossing over to the News First Weather Centre, where Chaturanga Haparachi is standing by to give us a comprehensive report on the current weather situation in the country, given that a weather advisory was issued by the Department of Meteorology. Chaturanga, it's over to you.
Good evening to you. At the very outset of the bulletin, let me focus your attention to the weather. The Met Department has issued a red notice, and they say that the low pressure area in the vicinity of Sri Lanka has developed into a depression, and it is expected to develop further and move away from the island through the southern areas. As you can see here from the satellite image that I have behind me, the low depression area is clearly visible here. The Met Department also says that the country is expected to receive rainfalls of over 100 millimeters, and especially the southern, Sabaragamu, central and Uva, as well as the western province, is to see rainfalls exceeding 150 millimeters. Now, earlier today, the Met Department issuing a notice asked the naval communities and the fishing communities to remain vigilant of these weather developments, especially in the sea areas. However, a short while ago, the Met Department requested fishing and naval communities to refrain from fishing activities as the wind speeds across the island in the sea areas could increase to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. In addition, the NBRO issued landslide warnings to several districts, including the Maithripala district and the Kandy district. Those landslide warnings too are still in effect. We will now listen to the Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli.
කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව මගින් නිකුත් කර ඇති නිවේදනය සලකා බැලුවම රතු නිවේදනයක් තමයි අද හවස නිකුත් කළ තිබෙන්නේ.
The Met Department has issued a red alert. We have been keeping the people informed regarding the extent of rainfall. According to these forecasts, we can see that the island will receive a rainfall of over 150 millimeters. We have to be vigilant. All police stations are being continuously updated on the situation. We have done this today as well. All police stations are ready to handle the situation. We have to make a special request from the people living in the hill country. Please evacuate as soon as you see signs of landslides. Though the water levels at rivers are at the normal level, if the rains continue, the water levels could rise. People living along the river banks have to remain vigilant. It is very important that the people are attentive to the increase of water levels. It is important to respond to the messages that are sent out by the Disaster Management Centre. DMC states that it is advisable to refrain from fishing activities. It is important that the people remain vigilant.
Thank you, Chaturanga, for that weather update. Well, let's now take a look at your headlines.
Increased employment opportunities for Sri Lankans in South Korea. 1 of 5 agreements signed on presidential state visit. Carcass of an elephant believed to be of the Galgamuwe tusker discovered. Appeal court issues stay order preventing action against Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Petition against the local government election gazette to be considered again on the 4th of December.
President Maithripala Sirisena called on his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in this morning for official bilateral talks.
President Maithripala Sirisena was welcomed to the Blue House, which is the executive office and official residence of the South Korean head of state, by South Korean President Moon Jae-in. President Sirisena was ceremoniously received with a special guard of honor. The two leaders discussed matters of mutual interest to strengthen cooperation between the two countries. President Moon Jae-in said President Maithripala Sirisena's current visit has resulted in the opening of a new glorious chapter in the bilateral friendship and cooperation between the two countries. The South Korean president said this year marks the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between South Korea and Sri Lanka, and the current visit of President Maithripala Sirisena has laid down a firm foundation for stronger cooperation in the next 40 years. He also agreed to President Sirisena's request to provide technical assistance to set up a tech city in Homagama and an aerocity in Katunayaka, An agreement on economic cooperation was signed by the Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Malik Samaravikrama, and Korean Minister of Economic Affairs. A memorandum of understanding on sending and receiving of workers under the employment permit system was signed by Justice and Foreign Employment Minister Thalata Atukorala and Korean Minister of Employment and Labour. President Maithripala requested the Korean president to increase the quota of Sri Lankan workers, and the Korean leader said he would consider the possibility of the areas of employment to Sri Lankans, which is limited to fisheries and construction, to include agriculture and livestock. The framework agreement concerning loans from Economic Development Corporation Fund for 2017 to 2019 was signed by Minister of Foreign Affairs Tilak Marapana and the Korean Foreign Minister. A memorandum of understanding concerning investment cooperation between the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka and Korean Trade Investment Promotion Agency was also inked during this meeting. Meanwhile, a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the fields of culture, arts, education, youth and sports was signed by the foreign ministers. President Maithripala Sirisena later paid respect to the Korean martyrs who made the supreme sacrifice during 3 different wars with invading forces.
In a heart-wrenching story among all Sri Lankans and perhaps all wildlife enthusiasts across the world, the carcass of an elephant tusker suspected to be that of the Galgamo tusker, locally known as Dalapurtua, was found in the Kahalapalle Reserve today. The elephant carcass was found during an operation carried out by wildlife officials and the police special task force. The carcass was found this afternoon in the Horoveva area of the reserve during search operations to locate the missing Galgamo tusker.
මේ විදිහට ඉතින් දි รา පත් වෙන්න ඊතරම කාලයක් නෑ අර කාල සීමාවත් එක්ක බලපුවම ඒ වගේ නිකන් ඔව් අතුරු ගහන්නීම කාල සීමාවත් එක්ක බලපුවම මේක සැසදෙනවා නේ ගැලපෙනවා.
Veterinarian Taraka Prasad told Newsfirst a DNA test to ascertain if the carcass belongs to Dalapurtua will be conducted tomorrow. 2 suspects were arrested in Nikawava Polpitigama by the Valana Antivirus Unit on the 24th of this month in possession of a pair of elephant tusks and ivory organic gemstones. Among the suspects who are now in remand custody is a Grama Niladari. The officer in charge of irrigation activities in the area is the brother of the Grama Niladari. Environmental organizations arrived at the Department of Wildlife today and were highly critical of its officials over the elephant deaths. Since the Director General of Wildlife is currently overseas, it was the Acting Director General Manjula Amararatna who met with the environmental organizations.
First of all, I did not believe these were the tusks of the Dalapurtua, but later when we compared the tusks which were seized with the pictures that were taken of it when it was alive and when they were examined at the Mahava court, officials who were quite close to this tusk confirmed that these tusks were definitely the Dalapurtua's tusks.
This is a murder. It is as equal to the death of a king in this country. And you say there are several tuskers in this country and that you cannot look into every one of them. This animal was blind, so it definitely should have been given some protection. Mr. Manjula, we will not let this go. I think this is a massive crime in this country.
හරිම අපරාධයක් රටට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔබතුමා පඩි ගන්න වනජීවි සංරක්ෂණය වෙන්න. ලැජ්ජයි එහෙම පඩි ගන්න එක.
නාඩි පහකට කලින් ඇවිල්ලා මගේ මේ තොරතුරු අහද්දි මට කියන්න බෑනේ මම දන්නේ නැහැ නේ. මුකුත් දන්නේ මෙච්චර කාලෙකට. නෑ මේ සති කීප මේ දවස් 4 තමයි මේ කරන්නේ. මම හිතන්නේ අපේ කාර්යයේ මේ තොරතුරු තියෙනවා.
This area technically should have been dug at 8:30 yesterday, but additional director Sumarisenu showed up at only 11:30. They were able to dig for just an hour when it started raining. It starts raining at 11:30 for the past couple of days. Mr. Sumanasena knows this, but his explanation for being late was that he had to look into a matter concerning land which belongs to the Wildlife Department being acquired by a temple and had forgotten the key matter here. You constantly accuse the additional director of being involved in this. This additional director is a person who has retired, but his period was extended and continues to serve in this area because of close connections. So a person who has been labelled a thief is given the responsibility of investigating the theft. The police officers investigating the matters have been left helpless because the additional director is taking the investigation on an entirely different path. The additional director can be removed from this post, but you are not doing it. You have no interest in looking into this matter. The villagers have also given evidence about a month ago that this additional director, the brother of the Gram Nildari, had gone in search of this elephant. You are aware of this as well, but you continue to use these same people to investigate the crime. The additional director is a close associate of the minister. The additional director's close associate is the Gram Nildari. The additional director's brother is the irrigation engineer. The engineer's close associate is the monk. The monk's close associate is the driver. This is a group of friends who have done this, but this group is not being broken up. It's just 1 or 2 people who have been taken into custody. We need to be given an assurance that this additional director will be removed and an investigation will proceed. If there's an allegation of an anomaly in this investigation, that is fine. An independent investigation is being conducted. Though it is the additional director who is investigating it, the entire process is being carried out under the direct supervision of the Deputy Director of the Protection of Law Enforcement Division.
If there is an allegation against the additional director, he should have been removed immediately. Whether the allegation is true or false is a different issue. But till that is ascertained, someone else should be appointed, or else this matter should be handed over to the CID.
A tusker has been shot and killed in Karulagaswaba Putlam, and the post-mortem is even conducted by the department. It has been a week since one has already happened, so where are the results? You say you are doing everything in your capacity, but they continue to be shot and killed.
Meanwhile, the carcass of another elephant tusker was found shot in Tabova Karulagaswaba this morning. The carcass was found just 500 meters away from the Putlam-Tabova main road. The post-mortem into the elephant, which was around 18 to 20 years old, revealed that it died of internal bleeding caused by a bullet wound to its rib cage. The very logo of the Department of Wildlife Conservation, which is maintained by public funds for the protection of our wildlife resources, is a picture of the Yala Dalaputwa, which faced the same fate. This tusker was shot and killed in the 1970s. For how much longer will these killings go on for? Aren't these majestic creatures the pride of the country? Welcome back. The Court of Appeal today issued an interim order till the 6th of December, preventing authorities from taking action against Gotabaya Rajapaksa under the Public Property Act. The order was issued when a petition filed by Gotabaya Rajapaksa was taken up for consideration.
The petition was taken up today before the chairman of the Court of Appeal, LTB Dehideniya, and Justice Shiran Gunaratna. In his application, former Secretary of Defence Gotabaya Rajapaksa informed court the D.A. Rajapaksa Memorial Museum was constructed as per an agreement reached between the D.A. Rajapaksa Foundation and the Sri Lanka Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. The petition notes a case has been filed against him under the Public Property Act, charging public funds were misappropriated when constructing the Memorial Museum. The petitioner says an assistant superintendent of police had produced a certificate to court certifying the funds were those that come under the Public Property Act and requested court to issue a writ of mandamus quashing that certification.
Convening a media briefing today, the collective of citizens' organizations spoke about crimes committed in the past.
What are these conditions? Who introduced the conditions? Can Mahinda Rajapaksa and his gang of associates decide the actions of the government? The people have already given a verdict regarding Mahinda Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa. Everyone is aware of that. They have been found guilty in the people's court. The people are not prepared to paint a better picture of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Therefore, what should be done on the serious allegations made against Gotabaya Rajapaksa? How was Lasantha Wickrematunge assassinated within a high security zone? Who was the defense secretary at the time? Who prepared the list to target and gun down 26 inmates in the Valley Kadhim prison? The investigation report is out and it is in the possession of Ranil Wickremesinghe. The report wasn't created to be used as a paperweight. The Prime Minister wasn't supposed to sleep on it. The report speaks of eyewitness accounts where some had made claim to Gotabaya's list, and that is how the people were killed. When will those responsible for these crimes be punished?
අප නැවතත් සූදානම් මේ වන විට දිවයිනට බලපා ඇති කාලගුණ තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව විශේෂ තොරතුරු කිහිපයක් ඔබ හමුවේ තබන්නට විශේෂයෙන්ම කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව අද රාත්‍රී 8ට නිකුත් කළ කාලගුණ අනතුරු ඇඟවීමේ නිවේදනයක් රතු නිවේදනයක් ලෙස සටහන් වන්නේ. එහි විශේෂයෙන්ම සඳහන් වෙනවා පීඩන ආපాతය මේ වන විට දිවයිනේ නිරිත දෙස තමයි ස්ථානගත වෙමින් පවතින බව. මේ තත්ත්වයත් සමග විශේෂයෙන්ම දකුණු සහ නිරිත දිග ප්‍රදේශවලට තද වැසි සහ තද සුළං විශේෂයෙන්ම පැයට කිලෝමීටර් 80ක පමණ වේගයෙන් තද සුළං ඇති වී ඒකයි බවට තමයි කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිවේදනයේ සඳහන් වන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම දකුණ සබරගමුව මධ්‍යම ඌව සහ බස්නාහිර පළාත්වල බොහෝ ප්‍රදේශවලට මිලිමීටර 150ට වැඩි ඉතා තද වැසි අපේක්ෂා කරන බව අද රාත්‍රියේ වගේම හෙට දවසේත් අපේක්ෂා කරන බව තමයි කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව අද රාත්‍රී 8ට නිකුත් කළ රතු නිවේදනයේ දැක්වෙන්නේ. ඒ අතරතුර අපේ ප්‍රාදේශීය වාර්තාකරුවන් මේ වන විටත් සඳහන් කරනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම දකුණු පළාතේ ගාල්ල මාතර හම්බන්තොට මේ සියලු දිස්ත්‍රික්කවල මේ වන විට තද වැසි සමග තද සුළං තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙමින් වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ ගාල්ල ප්‍රදේශීය වාර්තාකරුවන් සඳහන් කරන විදිහට මේ වන විට ගාල්ල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ බොහෝ ප්‍රදේශවලට විදුලියත් ඇනහිට තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම තමයි කොළඹ සහ ඒ අවට ප්‍රදේශවලත් මේ වන විටත් දැඩි සුළං තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙමින් පවතිනවා. ඒ වගේම දැඩි වර්ෂාපතනයක් ඇදහැලෙමින් තිබෙනවා කොළඹත් ප්‍රදේශ රැසකට. විශේෂයෙන්ම අප මහරගම ප්‍රාදේශීය වාර්තාකරු සඳහන් කරා මේ වන විට මහරගම ප්‍රදේශ රැසකට විදුලි බලය ඇනහිට තිබෙන බව. මාතර ප්‍රදේශ රැසකටත් මේ වන විට විදුලි බලය ඇනහිට තිබෙන බව තමයි කාලගුණ අපේ ප්‍රාදේශීය වාර්තාකරුවන් සඳහන් කරන්නේ. අතරතුරම විශේෂයෙන්ම මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශ පිළිබඳව අවධානය යොමු කරන්නට ඕනේ. දිවයින වටාවන ගැඹුරු සහ නොගැඹුරු මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශවල විශේෂයෙන්ම බස්නාහිර සහ දකුණු මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශවල දැඩි වැසි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. මුහුද ඉතා රළු ස්වභාවයක් ගන්නා බව තමයි කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව සඳහන් කරන්නේ. මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශවල සුළඟේ වේගය පැයට කිලෝමීටර් 100 ඉක්මවිය හැකි බවටත් කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව සඳහන් කරේ. ඒ නිසා ආපදා කළමනාකරණ මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ විශේෂයෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා කිසිම ආකාරයකට දකුණු සහ බස්නාහිර මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශවල දීවරීන් අද රාත්‍රියේ සහ හෙට උදෑසන முகுது யாமின் விளக்கி சிட்டிங்க சார் கிரி
நாங்கள் நாட்டில் ஏற்பட்டிருக்கும் வானிலை தொடர்பாக மீண்டும் உங்களுக்கு அறிய தருகின்றோம். தற்போது சீரற்ற வானிலை காரணமாக கொழும்பு காலி ஆகிய பகுதிகளில் கடும் காற்று வீசுவதாக எங்களுடைய பிராந்திய செய்தியாளர்கள் எங்களுக்கு தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். அதேபோன்று காலி மாவட்டத்தின் பெரும்பாலான பகுதிகளில் தற்போது மின் தடை ஏற்பட்டிருப்பதாகவும் நமக்கு அறிய கிடைக்கின்றது. கடும் காற்று காரணமாக கடற்பிராந்தியங்களில் கடற்றொழிலுக்கு செல்வதை தவிர்க்குமாறு வளிமண்டலவியல் திணைக்களம் ஏற்கனவே கேட்டுக் கொண்டிருந்தது. ஆகவே நாளை வரை இந்த அறிவித்தல் நீடிக்கப்பட்டிருப்பதாக தற்போது தெரிவிக்கப்படுகின்றது. கடலுக்கு செல்வதை மீனவர்கள் தவிர்க்க வேண்டும் என வளிமண்டலவியல் திணைக்களம் ஏற்கனவே அறிவித்திருந்தது. 150 மில்லிமீட்டருக்கும் அதிக மழை வீழ்ச்சி பெரும்பாலான பகுதிகளில் பதிவாகக்கூடும் எனவும் அறிவுறுத்தப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. காற்றின் வேகமானது 80 கிலோமீட்டருக்கும் அதிகமாக காணப்படும் எனவும் அறிவித்தல் விடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. சீரற்ற வானிலை அது தொடர்பான பாதிப்புகள் தொடர்பாக தொடர்ந்தும் நாங்கள் அவதானத்துடன் இருக்கின்றோம். தொடர்ந்தும் நியூஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்டுடன் இணைந்திருங்கள். சதுரங்க
Thank you, Giri. We are going to bring you a weather alert now. The Met Department issued a red warning once again at 8 p.m. a short while ago. According to this, the depression is now located in the southwest of Sri Lanka and is expected to develop further and move away from the island. Heavy rains and gusty, very strong winds, about 80 kilometers per hour, are expected over the island, particularly in the southern and southwestern areas. According to our correspondent, the southern areas, especially Galle and Mathura, are experiencing heavy winds and heavy rainfall, and they are experiencing a power cut to these areas as well. Even in Colombo, according to our correspondents, there are reports of heavy rain and strong winds.
Moving on with primetime news, views were expressed on the new foreign exchange regulations during a media briefing organized by a collective of civil organizations.
Under the new legislation, the minister in charge of the Treasury is vested with powers to issue direct orders to the Treasury. In this case, the powers are vested in the Prime Minister. He exercised these powers on the 17th of November through a gazette. In exercising these powers, he has brought in regulations which state that cases relating to foreign exchange need to be tried within 6 months. Now, this is the law. The question we have is, can the cases against members of the former administration, the cases against former ministers of this government, be concluded in 6 months? Is there a system in place in Sri Lanka to hear these cases? If the cases are not tried within 6 months, those who have been charged will be free. Charges need to be filed within a month unless the subject minister grants an extension. Through this regulation, the powers of exchange control have been completely vested in the hands of the subject minister in charge of the Treasury. Members of the Rajapaksa family and administration have been accused of foreign exchange fraud. There are 68 active court cases against members of the former administration regarding foreign exchange fraud. Can these cases be concluded in 6 months? There was a minister who faced similar allegations. The former finance minister had such allegations against him. It is clear that they are pushing forward a new mechanism to sustain their power and protect their friends.
Well, the new foreign exchange regulations that have been brought in are the talk of the town. Everybody is talking about it. You just heard the comments that were made by Kirti Tennukon. We have in the studio Farah Shaukat Ali, our investigative journalist, to discuss this new legislation further. Farah, can you briefly tell us what are the main issues that you see in this new legislation?
Well, the most worrying part to start with is this accumulation of power to the one minister, the minister in charge of the subject of the central bank. That's the first part. The second part is that this transitional period for investigations that have started, investigations that have not started, and for a conclusion is only 6 months. Ramesh, you know, with the law's delays that we experience in our country, where hundreds of thousands of cases are postponed to the next court year, this 6 months is nothing more than a joke. It's far too short.
Now, you heard Kirti Tennukon saying that there were about 68
cases. Now, that's precisely our point. We don't have such a expeditious process here. We have a painfully slow process that sort of grinds along. And 6 months, it's simply not enough.
Now, there is another question that comes to mind for us. Since the Good Governance government came in, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, President Maithripala, and the government have been signing a lot of international conventions. There are a lot of international obligations that we have agreed to.
That's a good question that you bring up.
Is there anything that could affect these international obligations?
There are. Sri Lanka is a signatory to the International Convention on Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorism Financing. That's a critical piece of legislation that has been adopted worldwide. And we must be aware and mindful of what that means, because we have gone around the world, like you say, and we've given undertakings and obligations all over the world to demonstrate that our systems in Sri Lanka are fully capable of playing a dynamic role as a worldwide partner with the other nations in this fight against money laundering and terrorism financing. So we must be mindful of that whilst we proceed and make these new laws, and by trying to stymie the whole process by giving a 6-month window is absolutely nothing more than a joke.
Okay, let's get back to you, the first point that you made earlier, centralizing the power within one minister. Yeah. Ideally, the minister that controls the central bank, yes?
Yes.
Now, what are the risks that this poses in terms of these international obligations?
Well, for starters, when we read the Act, the minister in charge of the subject of the central bank can give directions to the Monetary Board of Sri Lanka, to the central bank. Now, the Monetary Law Act provides that the governing body, if you like, of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is the Monetary Board of Sri Lanka, and it is they who decide on the process and procedures and so on. And that was a key element of what happened during Bondgate, if you remember. It is the departure from process. Now, if one man can overrule the Monetary Board and so on, and get the Monetary Board is obliged to follow those instructions, then there appears to be a serious departure from democratic norms.
Faraz, now we saw through Panama Papers and other revelations of that sort, as well as the allegations that were made during the election campaign, that there was plenty of Sri Lankan money that was kept overseas. If the government wanted to bring down this money, what should they do?
Well, that's been a problem, and I think the Foreign Exchange Act will go some way towards it, because the point is that these monies have been accumulated and, if you like, stashed away outside the reach of the Sri Lankan authorities. And so with this new act, it is an encouragement for those monies to be brought back to Sri Lanka on the payment of a 1% fee. If it's over $1 million. Now, the thing, Ramesh, is this, that whilst that is the good part of it, the bad part is that there is the 6 months period, this transitional period, is simply not enough to investigate these people and find out how, in the first place, over several years, maybe over 30 years, for example, that they've been able to collect this money outside of Sri Lanka and outside the reach of the taxman here and all the agencies in Sri Lanka. So, are we going to write off all these matters just because you want to attract the increase of foreign exchange into the country?
Well, for us, we shall see what eventually happens. The people are watching, the people are waiting to see what happens with regard to this new legislation.
Ravi Karunanayake is facing an allegation on fraud that surrounds foreign exchange. The case clearly notes Ravi Karunanayake will be released and not acquitted. The Attorney General's department says a case can be refiled. A case cannot be filed only if the person is released and acquitted, but he has not been acquitted of that charge. The case was rejected based on certain technicalities. However, there is provision to refile the case. But on the 25th of July 2017, an amendment is made to the Exchange Control Act, and that was presented by Ravi Karunanayake as the Finance Minister. He includes regulations where the wrongs that were committed were made right, and it affects the acts of the past. This act was produced and passed in Parliament to save himself from a case filed against him.
Tonight, we take a look at yet another startling revelation of what is now known as the Valley Kadhim massacre.
Namak Sandhan Kirna, a fellow officer who had a piece of paper in his hand as to whose list it was, and the latter responding that it was Gota's list. Meka me kamitu වාර්තාවේ තියෙන දෙයක්. කාගේ ලයිස්තුවක්ද කියන එක ගැන මෙතන එක සාක්ෂියකින් කියවෙලා තියෙනවා.
මම එතන එච්4 මම රැඳිලා ඉන්නකොට එතන හිටියා හමුදා නිලධාරී කණ්ඩායම. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ තිබුණා ලිස්ට් එක. කොලයක්. මේගොල්ලෝ ඇහුවේ සියම්.
සියම් ඔබලාගේ වන්දනා කරේ නෙවෙයි.
සියම් කලින් දින දෙකකට පෙර වැලිකඩ හිටියා. මම ඔහුව මාරු කරා නියමිත බන්ධනාගාරයට. ඔහු රඳවා ඉන්නේ මහර. සියම් ගැන අහන්න හේතුවක් නැහැ. ඌ දන්නේ නැහැ සියම් කවුද කියලා හමුදා නිලධාරී. උක්කුව ගැන දන්නේ නැහැ හමුදා නිලධාරී.
සහ ඒ කියන්නේ මේ කැරල්ලට සම්බන්ධයි කියලා මේ නම් ලිස්ට් එකක් හොයනවා කියන එක පෙන්නන්න බැරි ප්‍රධානම දේ තමයි මෙහි නැදියාගෙන නමුත් මේ
සත්‍ය වශයෙන්ම සියම් හිටියේ නැහැ හිරගේ ඇතුලේ. උක්කුව හිටියේ.
Now, the full story on eyewitness accounts of the Valley Kadhim massacre and the revelations of the committee report will be aired on our sister channel, Sirsa TV, in the near future. Registrar of the Court of Appeals, Sanat Kumara Pinnaduwa, said the petition filed against the local government election gazette will not be taken up for consideration tomorrow. On Monday, the Attorney General, filing a motion in court, requested for the petition, which was originally set for the 4th of December, to be taken up tomorrow.
Filing a motion, the Attorney General informed court the delay in taking up the petition for consideration would be an obstruction to hold the local government elections in January next year. On the 22nd of November, the Court of Appeal issued an interim injunction order halting the delimitation gazette notification implementation issued by the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government following a petition that was filed by 6 voters.
That's a wrap up for your primetime news for this Wednesday evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahan Jarampati. Good night and take care.